6 to 9 foot storm surge. The National Hurricane Center.
We're going to take a look at new video. This is showing a large construction crane. You can see that collapsed in St. Petersburg early this morning.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम तारसा में चौधरी रफीक।
मैं हूँ साजिद। तो चौधरी साहब ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ पता है अमेरिका के अंदर तूफान आया है।
तूफान आ गए?
जी चौधरी साहब बड़ा हैवी तूफान आया है।
अच्छा जी।
हाँ जी।
बड़ा हैवी तूफान की नुकसान सुनने चारा की होया ना।
तूफान हमेशा नुकसान ही पहुंचाते हैं ना ते उन्होंने इतना नुकसान पहुंचाया तो उसका नाम भी तूफान का नाम रखा हरिकेन मिल्टन।
हरिकेन मिल्टन अमेरिका का कोई शहर है कोई?
फ्लोरिडा शहर है और फ्लोरिडा के अंदर आया है तूफान उस इलाके च।
अल्लाह खैर के इतना बचावे देखते हैं तूफान ने की नुकसान किया।
बेसिकली ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਦੀ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਚ ਨਾ ਅਪਡੇਟ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਸੂਰਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲੇਗਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲੇਗਾ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੀ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਨੇ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ।
ਬੜੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਿਲ ਕਰੇ ਫਟਾਫਟ ਦਹਾਓ ਯਾਰ ਮੈਂ।
Hurricane Milton has made landfall in Florida.
6 to 9 foot storm surge. The National Hurricane Center.
We're going to take a look at new video. This is showing a large construction crane. You can see that collapsed in St. Petersburg early this morning.
Hurricane Milton is now imminent. The eye wall passing over Tampa Bay right now.
Unleashing chaos across the state with winds exceeding 100 miles per hour and unprecedented rainfall. The storm has left more than 3 million homes and businesses without power. And that's not all. Tornadoes, storm surges, and flooding are wreaking havoc from the west coast to the Atlantic. Stay with us as we break down the impact of this devastating hurricane and how it's affecting millions of lives. Let's get into it. 1. Hurricane Milton roared ashore near Siesta Key, just south of Fort Myers, as a powerful Category 3 storm. The winds were ferocious, downing power lines, toppling trees, and causing widespread damage. Over 18 inches of rain drenched St. Petersburg and Tampa, amounts that haven't been seen in centuries. In fact, experts are calling this a 1-in-1,000-year rainfall event. As the storm moved inland, it weakened to a Category 1, but it still packed a punch, with winds up to 90 miles per hour. And rain stretching as far as Georgia and South Carolina. Florida is feeling the full force of this massive storm.
This is explosive video caught by Florida traffic cameras near Fort Pierce just after 5 o'clock today. I mean, look at that massive side of that.
2. As of now, more than 3 million homes and businesses across Florida are in the dark. The worst hit areas are along the west central coast, where cities like Sarasota, Manatee, and Clearwater are experiencing widespread outages. The power grid has taken a beating, and authorities are working around the clock to restore electricity. But it's going to be a slow process. In St. Petersburg, it's not just power that's out. The city's water supply has been cut off due to damage caused by the hurricane. Officials have advised all residents to boil any water they use for drinking or cooking. Repairs will only begin once it's safe for crews to venture out, and that might not be for a while.
The fire chief of Tampa, who said that as the storm is hitting, which is right now, they cannot send their emergency crews out to save people. So if people are not in a safe place right now, they're pretty much on their own.
3. Milton didn't just bring hurricane-force winds, it also unleashed a series of tornadoes that touched down across the state, adding to the devastation. Palm Beach County saw multiple tornadoes, leaving homes damaged, vehicles tossed around, and 5 people hospitalized with injuries. Emergency responders have been working non-stop to help those in need, but the sheer number of incidents has stretched resources thin. In Sarasota alone, the 911 switchboard received over 1,400 calls in 12 hours. But with high levels of storm surge and dangerous winds, it was too risky for first responders to head out. The emergency teams are logging the calls and planning to respond as soon as conditions improve.
Hurricane Milton is now spawning tornadoes in South Florida. The Category 4 storm is expected to make landfall along Florida's densely populated Gulf Coast tonight. It's already caused a tornado roughly 30 miles outside Fort Lauderdale.
Plant City, located east of Tampa, is experiencing severe flooding, with many streets completely impassable. The city manager, Bill McDaniel, has issued a strong warning for residents to stay indoors and avoid the floodwaters at all costs. Why? Because these waters are potentially toxic. The flood has overwhelmed sewer stations, causing contaminants like gas, oil, and other hazardous materials to mix into the water. It's not safe for anyone to be out there, and authorities are urging people to stay away from the streets until further notice. 5. A stadium's roof torn off in St. Petersburg. As Hurricane Milton barreled through St. Petersburg, its powerful winds tore off sections of the roof at Tropicana Field, a 42,000 capacity stadium. The stadium was being used as a shelter for first responders, and thankfully, no injuries have been reported. This iconic dome, home to the Tampa Bay Rays, wasn't built to withstand winds of this magnitude. With pieces of the roof scattered around the area, the damage is a stark reminder of how ferocious Hurricane Milton has been. 6. 1 in 1,000-year rainfall event. Some parts of Florida have experienced rainfall amounts that are nothing short of staggering. St. Petersburg and Tampa saw more than 18 inches of rain, while Clearwater Beach recorded over 14 inches. These are figures that meteorologists call a 1 in 1,000-year event. The intense rainfall overwhelmed drainage systems, leading to flash floods across major cities. Streets have turned into rivers, with cars submerged and entire neighborhoods underwater. It's hard to imagine, but for the residents experiencing it, the situation is nothing short of catastrophic. 7. Moving off the coast, but still dangerous. Hurricane Milton is moving off the east central coast of Florida and into the Atlantic Ocean. But don't let that fool you into thinking the danger is over. The storm is still producing hurricane-force winds and heavy rain, even as it moves away from land. The National Hurricane Center warns that flash flooding and storm surges are still very much a threat. 8. The city of Sarasota is facing one of the most challenging situations of all. With high levels of storm surge expected, first responders have been unable to respond to many emergency calls. The 911 team has been working tirelessly to provide advice over the phone and prioritize life-threatening situations. But even with these efforts, some residents may be on their own until the weather clears. The storm surge is pushing water inland, flooding streets, and making rescue missions nearly impossible. 9. Bodies will be found. A grim reality in Bradenton. The situation is turning grim in Bradenton, where Police Chief Melanie Bevan is bracing for the worst. After days of preparation, the department is hunkered down in a hurricane-proof building. The chief warns that once the storm passes, the task will shift from rescue to recovery, indicating that some areas have been hit hard. Residents who stayed behind were even advised to write their names and next of kin on their arms, a tragic sign of just how dire the situation is. With the winds finally starting to die down in some areas, emergency services will be out in full force to clear debris, restore power, and provide aid to those affected. However, officials are warning that recovery efforts will take weeks. The cost of Hurricane Milton will be measured in billions of dollars. Those who lost their homes, their businesses, and even their loved ones will be felt for much longer. Florida has faced hurricanes before, but Milton's impact is shaping up to be one of the most devastating in recent history.
ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਲਾਕਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਮੁੰਦਰ ਦੇ ਨਜ਼ਦੀਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਮੁੰਦਰੀ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਆਇਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਸਮੁੰਦਰੀ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਨੇ ਤਬਾਹੀ ਮਚਾਈ ਸਾਰੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਚਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ
ਜੋ ਸਭ 100 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹ ਐਡੀ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਆਇਆ ਇਸ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ 19 ਇੰਚ ਪਾਣੀ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ
100 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹ ਤੂਫਾਨ
ਇੰਨਾ ਖਤਰਨਾਕ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਆਉਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਐਲਾਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਲੀ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਖਾਲੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਕੁਝ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਆਇਆ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਮੀਆਂ ਆਈ ਉਹ
ਜਾਨੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਘੱਟ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਇਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ
ਜਾਨੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਅਮੂਮਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਇਲਾਕਿਆਂ ਸਲਾਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਹਿਫਾਜ਼ਤੀ ਤਦਾਬੀਰ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਇਖਤਿਆਰ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ
ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਮਨਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਾ ਘਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਰਹਿਣ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਪਾਣੀ 'ਚ ਤੇਲ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਵੀ ਕੈਮੀਕਲ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਨੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਿਕਸ ਹੋ ਗਈ
ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਦਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਾਰੋਬਾਰ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਟੁੱਟ ਗਏ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਖੋ ਗਏ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰਾ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਦੁਖੀ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਜੋਸਾ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਦੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ
ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਫ ਕਰੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਵਿਛੜੇ ਨੇ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਹੋਈ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਇੰਨਾ ਜਾਨੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਬਾਕੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਹੋਏ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਦੀ ਜਾਨ ਬੜੀ ਕੀਮਤੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਜਾਨੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਬਾਜੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਕਰ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕਈ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਲੱਗਣਗੇ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਕਵਰੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਭਰਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਸ਼ਿਫਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗੇਗਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਟਾਈਮ ਟੇਕਿੰਗ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ ਕੋਈ 25 ਤੋਂ 30 ਲੱਖ ਲੋਕ ਮੁਤਾਸਰ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ
ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਨਾਲ ਜੀ ਹਿਫਾਜ਼ਤ ਫਰਮਾਵੇ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਹੋਈ, ਯਕੀਨ ਕਰੋ, ਬੜਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੋਇਆ। ਇਨਸਾਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਭਰਾ ਨੇ, ਭੈਣਾਂ ਭਰਾ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਲੋਕ ਵਿਛੜ ਗਏ ਨੇ। ਬਾਹਰ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਫਲੋਰੀਡਾ ਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਿਫਾਜ਼ਤ 'ਚ ਰੱਖੇ। ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿਹਤ ਦਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਣਾ। ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਦਿਓ ਬਸ ਸਾਨੂੰ। ਅੱਲਾਹ ਹਾਫਿਜ਼।